Welcome in to the Bush League Bus Factory, where we are doing some NFL best ball for the 2025 NFL season. And guys, it's January. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So excited. So excited. And we got so much to talk about here. We got four more people that we're waiting on here to join because who else? How many people? How many other degenerates do you know that are drafting best ball in January for NFL season that's going to start in September? But I am just so excited. We're gonna get right into it. Round one here. Let's just kind of talk some things through. There's so much to talk about. We'll just kind of start, like I said, round one. I'm gonna go chalk. Just for now, as we kind of learn more about the players, how drafts are going. Maybe we'll change that up. I just think round one going chalk is pretty good. We'll be in enough of these that we'll get the variance through that. And the one thing I'm not crazy about right now, and I think they do this just because it's so early, is that we got 20 rounds. We'll stop the video around round 14, 15, I think. I think everything else, I think it just gets a little bit long. To tell you the truth, this is not the first video I'm recording. I did record one yesterday. And when I say video, I mean truly just video. There was no audio because it's a learning process. It's a learning process here. But anyways, we stopped at around 14, 15. And that was about 44 minutes long. So we will take that as a lesson to learn and yeah, keep it that around 14, 15. After that, you're just kind of pressing some filler guys in. But I do gotta repeat myself, and I hope I'm still able to give that same value. I can't. I think we talked a lot about Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase is a perfect example of who we want to talk about right now. Actually, before we make our pick, just because Ja'Marr Chase 101, it just makes too much sense. He's got the floor and he's got the ceiling. We saw him in 2024 go with the ceiling. He's got one more year left on his deal, unlike T. Higgins, who will be a free agent, and we'll talk about why that's important. They'll probably just tear up his contract. Wait, or is he on his fourth year? I think I'm wrong. I think he just finished his fourth year, and they give him the fifth year. I don't know. Either way, he will be a Bengal next year. And he will have Joe Burrow as his quarterback. So we know. So Ja'Marr Chase, so the big question with Ja'Marr Chase is T. Higgins and what happens there. T. Higgins, if he goes right, T. Higgins is a wide receiver one, NFL wide receiver one. Maybe not in fantasy football, just because but he can be without Ja'Marr Chase, just because you're splitting too many targets. But he's an NFL wide receiver one. He is a dude. But when you look at it and you see the stats, you see Ja'Marr Chase puts up just as good a fantasy production with and without T. Higgins. I think actually in 2024 it was better. So instead of having to share like targets like you would think, he actually draws defenses in and allows Ja'Marr Chase to be more open, and that creates those crazy games that you saw. So we'll talk more on the day that we get lucky enough to have the 101. For now, let's go Nico Collins, and let's talk our boy, Nico Collins. Nico Collins went, if I'm trying to remember right, he definitely was a second rounder. I think he was a second rounder of 2024. I think I saw him as early as like 13 and as late as 21, something in that range. Nico Collins is a dude. He's a man among boys in the NFL level. That's just when these athletes in the NFL, like if you take your wide receiver 5 on a depth chart. Like, that is a man. And Nico Collins makes those men look like boys. I know that's not a very analytical approach to it. So Nico Collins, he's got the size, he's got the skill set, he's got the speed, he's got the quarterback. It will be interesting now that he has a new offensive coordinator. We don't know who that is. Tank Dell, God, you just got a feel for him. He went through it in 2024 because it started off with the playoff knee injury. Oh my gosh, yeah, I talked about this last time, but in 2024, we saw the first tight end, Sam Laporta, get drafted at the end of round 3 after an insane rookie year. Brock Bowers, also an insane rookie year, now getting shot up to the 1-2 turn, not just round 2, but one pick away from being round 1 tight end as a year 2 guy. So now we have our second pick. I think I'm probably just going to go chalk here too. I like the running back pick in Christian McCaffrey. We know he has the opportunity to just break fantasy, kind of have these on-off years with him as far as injuries go. Let's just take it. Like I said, we're just going chalk. Nothing crazy. This is our first draft. We don't need to do anything. We'll just let the chips kind of fall where they may. Nico Collins. What else do we have to say about that? New coordinator. Texas defense looks pretty solid. Consider DeMeco Ryans is obviously a defensive mastermind. Mastermind's a stretch, but he's a defensive-minded head coach, and typically when you have that, you have good defense. And so good defense, less points. You don't get into the shootouts just because your defense doesn't allow it. So you might not see that, but there's obviously something going on. CJ Stroud, Nico Collins. I think when Nico Collins, before he had his IR stint this year, it was like a 70-yard bomb touchdown. And then he went into the tent. I remember him giving like the thumbs up, like, yeah, I'm good. Just getting some stuff checked out. And then he was on the IR. Didn't play another snap. So, but let's talk a little bit more draft strategy here as we're going into it. One thing that we kind of learned from the first go around was that people are abandoning zero RBs. 2024 was the year of the running back. Cannot mistake that. Saquon Barkley, why am I drawing a blank? Derrick Henry, he's literally right there on the screen. They just went out and said, you know what? I know your trends. I know what a running back of my age is going to be supposed to do, and I'm just going to say, nope, not going to happen. And they went out and just balled. They produced both for fantasy and for their NFL teams. Pretty easy when you make history in some of these cases. Saquon pushing for the rushing record, rushing yards in a single season record. Obviously, the asterisk there is Jaden Daniels in the third. Wanted that stack with Terry McLaurin. So we're seeing an abandonment of the zero RB build, which is very strange in best ball because of the variance in the wide receiver position. Even if you look at some of the best, Justin Jefferson, Puka, Chase, all of them, the variance on a wide receiver is higher. It's just what it is. It's how it works. This is half PPR, so your flex tends to be 50-50 there. As far as whether it's a running back or a wide receiver, because the scoring system works as if scoring system is 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 flex, and a tight end. Now maybe that's different just because of the the 20 rounds. I doubt it. We're not gonna look at that up right now. We're just gonna assume that to be fact, because even if it's off a little bit, the point remains that the variance in the wide receivers changes, and you're not setting lineups like a typical redraft league, and you can't account for that variance on a week-to-week basis. So you tend to want to load up on receivers. This draft seems to be a little bit more tame, so that makes it better for us. It allows a little more predictability. We got KJW8135 up in here. He going with the 3 receiver build out of the gate, very typical. Justin Jefferson, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, all top 14 picks last year. Trey McBride went just before us. We have the option of Lamar Jackson or going a running back all the way down to DJ Moore. We're not going to take DJ Moore as the best receiver on the board. Breece Hall, James Cook, Kyren Williams, Joe Mixon. Out of those, I like Kyren the most. I don't really want to go Kyren Christian, although I do like him. We'll take Lamar. Although you would like to maybe take a Nico Collins, CJ Stroud stack later. I'm willing to bet people take a knee-jerk reaction on CJ Stroud, and we can take a second quarterback, take him maybe 9th, 10th round. We'll see where his ADP lines up. That wouldn't be bad at all. I would love to see that. I think there's going to be a lot of knee-jerk reactions right now with the season literally still going on. We haven't had the Super Bowl. It's not happened yet. Just like we're seeing a bunch of running backs get taken early this year. Now, as far as pick position, 8 is pretty okay. For me, I tend to like being 2 to 4 and 9 to 11. The reason being is just getting into the mindset of your opponents in the draft. 8's better than 6 and 7. 6 and 7 are my least favorite just because you're so far from the edges and you have so many picks happen in between your pick and the next. Here we only have 4, so we'll kind of talk more about it after the 4th round pick here. There's 8 picks that went after our Lamar Jackson pick. So let's go in here. Joe Mixon is an interesting pick. Devonta Smith, I think, is still an excellent talent. We did learn this year that Jalen Hurts just doesn't have the passing capabilities that we would love in a fantasy perspective as far as drafting his receivers. We're just gonna take the talent. I would have loved to have taken Chuba Hubbard here. Kind of kicking myself for not. Joe Mixon did what he did in 2024 with pretty terrible offensive line, to put it nicely. I mean, they were their playoff team that won their division, and I want to say their offensive line ranked 29th in the league. So that's not good. And for him to still be the running back that he was, gives you a little bit of hope. All right, so a little bit of draft strategy here, and why 8's okay, and why I like the rest of them. So when this comes back around, we're in a pretty good position where we can take pretty much anything but a quarterback in round 5. Just because that's heavy draft capital for a position that's only going to score once. Because even though you have a flex cannot be a quarterback. That's referred to as a super flex. So in our position here, we're going to have 8 picks after pick 56 before our pick 65. And the gamemanship here is that after us, we want to be looking at the teams that are being composed by these 4 drafters, fantasy owners. And right now, the first thing that jumps off to me that's obvious is no quarterbacks after us. Um, so if we didn't draft Lamar Jackson, and let's just say for some reason he fell all the way down to 42 and he got picked up, and we were in the same position, I would be sitting here saying, all right, if there's a quarterback that gets to me at pick 56, I want to take him, because then these 8 picks are all to teams without a quarterback. Now we don't have that. Similarly, here, we don't have a tight end, and there's only one of those teams that has a tight end. So in that case, 6 of the 8 picks are going to be to teams without a tight end looking for one. So in our case, we're low on running backs, and after us, 2 out of the 4 teams have 2 running backs. Again, scoring 2 running backs, 1 flex. So they have their running backs essentially accounted for. Again, variance can change. A lot of things can happen. But they don't have a full wide receiver roster. So we would expect one of those 2 picks from these guys to be a receiver. At the minimum, lower chance of a running back. Again, little bit hard with 8 picks to really nail it down. Round 5 is a little bit tough. So just trying to make the team the best that we can with the information that we have in January, which is crazy that this is available. I am loving it. Sam Laporta gets to us. That's looking pretty solid. Jordan Addison and the Kevin O'Connell system is solid, even though you don't know who the quarterback may or may not be. I'm gonna go with Sam Laporta, and just looking here, I would love to see, if I'm gonna go from a running back, any of these 3 making it back to us would be acceptable for us. And then as far as receivers go, I like Courtland Sutton. I like Chris Olave. So we have 8 picks. And again, remember, there's none of the teams after us have a quarterback, and we don't see our ADP of quarterbacks anywhere in sight. So I doubt anybody's reaching for Bo Nix 40 picks early, but it does make us a little happy to see that that's a possibility down the road. So we already saw Courtland Sutton, Jaden Waddle as well gone. So like I said, those teams we know for sure we're going to pick one running back. Alvin Kamara, I just think his floor is so safe. He's obviously going to get the pass catching. We know Derek Carr is a check down king, queen, whatever you want, princess, however you want to call it. Caleb Johnson, Iowa, same with Sam Laporta. Caleb Johnson is going to be a great NFL running back. I'm hesitant on the fantasy side. Just even I mean, as an Iowa fan, we just didn't see enough to know what the passing game production can be from him. Mostly because Iowa doesn't have a quarterback ever. So I already forget the third. We had 3 running backs in our pool that we were talking about. 2 of them are already gone. We're not too worried right now. But we did see DK Metcalf as another receiver going out, and what a weird situation he is. You like seeing Jackson Smith and Jigba being picked up there. Chris Godwin, a free agent to be, who knows where he's going to be. Obviously a talent. I was super high on him and going into 2024, with the reason being that 2023 production was low due to red zone conversions. He got the targets in the red zone in 2023 and didn't convert. Beginning of 2024, those became conversions. Okay, so we have Chris Olave and Kenneth Walker. Ooh. 2 receivers, 1 running back. We're looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and snag Chris Olave here. And you missed your pick. I did not. Maybe I just clicked it at 0, or I don't know, whatever the case may be. Looks like their servers are running a little bit better today. Yesterday, I was able to get away with that. Anyways, Chris Olave, New Orleans Saints. Dude got lit up. He got the ultimate hospital ball from Derek Carr, and then I'm not really sure if he needed to sit out as long as he did, or if it was just precaution. The Saints season was done. It was like Rashid Shaheed was out, Derek Carr was out, Alvin Kamara was banged up, Taysom Hill was out. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it was Juwan Johnson or not, but one of their other tight ends was out. So regardless, he did get a pretty serious concussion, and that's part of why he's sitting here at 65 for us. But we know is talented. We know his film from Ohio State. I only know his film from New Orleans. And something else about New Orleans that I like is their division. One of the things that I like to consider a lot when doing my fantasy drafts that I feel like gets lost in the weeds is that you play your divisional opponents 6 times a year. Fantasy purposes, 5 times. Week 18 is always a division matchup. January, we don't know that yet. But still, you consider the 3 divisions. You would like to think Tampa Bay shores up their secondary. 2020, and that's the thing, guys. We're in January. We know nothing. But 2024, Tampa Bay secondary, not good. Just terrible. Which is crazy just because of the talented Winfield Jr. on the team. But here we are, and let's get the better screen up here. Luther Burden III. I don't know much about some of these rookies. I know Burden out of Missouri, 5-star recruit coming out of high school, just unbelievable talent. Didn't produce too much in his senior year. I think he's gonna make a difference, but we'll kind of dive more into rookies as I get more understanding and get more of a player profile, prospect profile, and such. Also, I think these drafts go up to the draft. These fantasy drafts, best ball drafts, go up to the NFL draft. So that means we'll get more information from the combine. But that's why we do them early, guys, because who knows? So maybe today, maybe right now, we can talk a little about Ashton Jeanty. Once we make our selection up here, just because most of you guys, if you're listening to this, you have heard the name before. I'll just give a little bit of perspective. You probably know enough to be dangerous about with him. So we'll go ahead. Deebo Samuel falling all the way to pick 78 at the best. That is crazy. So this guy goes Jacoby Myers, currently quarterbackless, but Pete Carroll now there. We'll see. I'm loving Isaiah Pacheco. We're not really loving what we're seeing on the field right now, but we know the Kansas City Chiefs. We know their ability to run the football. Yeah, it says right here, outplayed by Hunt again. But I mean, the fact that he's playing football after breaking a femur just shows you how tough the dude is. We saw before he got hurt. I believe I had him in one of my redraft leagues. I drafted him in the 2nd round, and that was just value on value. You knew it. I'm not sure his contract situation. I know Kareem Hunt is on a 1-year deal. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is no longer with the Chiefs. I believe he is actually with the Saints, or was with the Saints at the end of the year. I'm not I'm not sure the exact details. I know there was PTSD related for him. You gotta feel for him. Um, so when this comes back around, let's see. We got Juwan Jennings, great year. Wow, Juwan Jennings being drafted over Debo. Yeah, that's right. Debo is a diva. Uh, Obviously talented. I think the general sentiment around him was the dude is absolutely explosive with the ball in his hands. You give him the ball, he breaks the tackle, and he just pops off. 2024, he didn't do step one. Or I guess he did step one. He got the ball in his hands, but he didn't do step two, which was break the tackle. You just expected that in 2023. That it was just he did not get tackled. Look at that. You went Juwan Jennings, Debo Samuel, Ricky Pearsall, all within 5 picks. And last year, Debo Samuel was getting he rose late. Um, I think people kind of were sitting on him. He was a 2-3 turn type of guy, maybe kind of late second. He ended up going sometimes at the 1-2 turn towards the end, right before the season started. So we're one pick away. Couple it is weird, we're not only are we so early in January, we're early into these drafts. These got dropped yesterday. So we got 2 running backs, 3 receivers, tight end, quarterback. So we want to shore up our receiver spot. Rashid Shaheed is going to be the pick here, I believe. Dude looked good, got hurt. I mean, wasn't it like 3 weeks and 3 bomb touchdowns? It was just kind of like, when is it gonna happen? Not if. And then got hurt, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. Hopefully, we're sitting here in January. We got Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. It kind of feels pretty solid. So we don't need to go anything else crazy. New Orleans. Derek Carr. We feel confident enough in January that Derek Carr is going to be the starter in September for the New Orleans Saints. We don't know who the head coach is going to be for them. Little bit scary, but we also know that we're not worried about the identity of the Saints being Alvin Kamara. We know he's good, we know he's talented, we know he has a safe floor, but the identity of the Saints is hopefully going to be these receivers. Now, can Derek Carr perform? Maybe, maybe not. But this is what we're saying. We're saying that these receivers will be the identity of this team, and that feels pretty solid for us right now. Let's see. Let's bring up the board here. TJ Hawkinson, another Iowa boy. Stephon Diggs, he was on a 1-year contract, so even though it says Houston, he's a free agent to be, which free agency starts March 12th, something around there. Sounds about right. So technically, he's a Houston Texan until March. I wasn't too crazy about him coming in. Also a diva, but just not quite the same. Last year best, and I wouldn't say I wasn't too crazy on him because I didn't think he was good. Last year best ball, we had Nico Collins in the second round, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs towards the end of the third, kind of in that 30 to 35 pick range. And I thought Nico Collins was undervalued at the second round. And so then backing up, even if, let's say, Nico Collins was perfect value at the middle of the second round, you couldn't possibly have Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, and Tank Dell all be worth their value. In within 15 picks of each other, all in the first 3 rounds. Wow, Jayden Daniels, second quarterback, like, good for him, man. Hopefully the sophomore slump doesn't come like our boy CJ Stroud had this year. I'm still not seeing him pop up here. We got 4 receivers, 2 running backs, a quarterback, and 1 tight end. Just ADP wise, we got some room. Let's see if we can do this. We have 2 teams that need a tight end. So if we want to go tight end 2 here, we'll have to reach nobody worth reaching for. 15 seconds. Don't want a quarterback. Michael Pittman Jr., great talent. Marvin Mims got used a lot more. I'm more towards the end of the year. Do we want Zach Charbonnet? Yes or no? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Marvin Mims. Cooper Kupp, we don't know the team for. So Marvin Mims, just a dynamic player, not necessarily a good receiver, but towards the end of the year, you started to see Sean Payton, who is a good head coach. I was one of the one of the people that thought Sean Payton was okay. See, so this is a good draft conversation here. This guy went Brock Purdy. I'm not sure what his ADP was, but he went Brock Purdy because after him, not only does nobody after him have a quarterback, but 4 of the 6 picks before pick 112 were people without a quarterback and had the option to stack with a San Francisco 49er receiver. So for him to go, he can't risk letting that go through and because that for sure would have gotten picked up. Now the other players here, Nguyen and Crutch, they still got quarterbacks they like. They got some solid things going on here. You know, Justin Herbert with Ladd and Kyler Murray with Marv, but then they went and Baker with Mike Evans. The Caleb Williams one's a little interesting. We are gonna get those tight. At least you would think maybe we see tight end here. But we got some picks here. Brian Robinson being low is a little interesting. We see things like Jonathan Taylor. He has Jonathan Taylor splits with and without. There's the first tight end that we were just talking about. Jonathan Taylor splits with and without Anthony Richardson. He got better with a running quarterback, and versus like your traditional thinking of, oh hey, well we passed on Michael Pittman last time. Do we do that again? I mean, I just don't trust his quarterback ability to throw the ball. So, anyways, Brian Robinson Jr., he's your downhill power guy. Even though you're worried, if you're worried about Jayden Daniels taking over some rushing attempts, again, I'm just going to point to Jonathan Taylor. His splits with Joe Flacco versus Anthony Richardson, he did better with Anthony Richardson because it just kind of forces the defense to worry about another thing. It's like the T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. Yeah, he takes targets away. Yeah, Jayden Daniels is going to take rushing attempts away. But the defense has another stressor, and that will make Brian Robinson better. Break for water. Okay. We're Sanders. Okay, interesting guy. What was he? Didn't a report just come out? I mean, all reports are subjective, but I think he's like the 40th overall prospect or something like that. But since he plays quarterback, he's gonna be like a top 5 draft pick. I watched a decent amount of CU this year. I think it might be a name. I think it's gonna be a name. I'm not too sure about the player yet. We'll get more information. I'm not sold. So let's do this. Let's play out the situation of the top 5 picks. Right, Tennessee Titans. They have everything at their disposal. They've come out and said that they are not going to pass up on a generational talent. And Shedeur Sanders maybe, maybe not, will be a good NFL quarterback. There's nothing to suggest with what we know today that he's going to be a generational talent. Cam Ward, consensus number one quarterback in this draft, which, funny enough, hasn't been picked, but Shedeur did. Oh, this guy went Shedeur Travis, and that's weird. So we'll just stick with Shedeur. We'll just stick with the Titans right now. So they've come out and said that they won't. So Travis Hunter, to me, would qualify in this draft as a generational talent. I don't think we have seen a some recency bias here. As far as I'm concerned, Dalton Kincaid is better than Dallas Goedert. He's better than Jonnu Smith. He's gonna be better than an aging Travis Kelce. TJ, maybe you put him in the TJ range. He's better than Tucker Kraft. I love him as my tight end 2 here. Am I worried about CJ Stroud not making it back to me? This guy right here doesn't have a quarterback. He might go QB. I would think he passes on CJ Stroud. Let's go ahead and let's play the drafting game here a little bit. Let's take our CJ here. I would have loved to have gone Dalton Kincaid personally. I think he had a rough year. We expected more out of him. This video is being recorded about 4 or 5 days after his drop pass in the AFC Championship game. There he goes. He got drafted, but the guy was still no quarterback. Let's see. Courtland Sutton, Xavier Worthy, DJ Moore. So not even like the bench doesn't even look too deep here. Like he's got 5 running backs. This is where people are different, man. People are different, but you have 5 running backs and you score 2 of them, a maximum of 3, and you have 4 receivers scoring 3 with a maximum of 4. And like we said earlier, the variance is so high in the receiver position. But you did go 2 tight ends. I think that gives him a good spot in there, and you're drafting him 10, 11, some decent capital there. But we are going to be starting to see some backup tight end needs for ourself. Rico Dowdle, Blake Corum. I think on the list that I see right now, yeah, I think we're going to take Jake Ferguson unless he gets sniped. If he gets sniped, then we'll kind of deal with it from there. Let's go ahead and press the star to queue him up. And let's go back to our Tennessee Titans conversation. So they want generational talent. They're not going to pass up on something. So we've established that we like Travis Hunter. We established that Shedeur is not top quarterback prospect, and Cam Ward, I think is unanimously top quarterback prospect. But I don't see him being a generational talent. Now, this is a quarterback-centric league. This is just right before, and it just interrupts my conversation here. Got Christian Kirk, Elik Ayamanor. If you can't tell, I don't watch too much college ball. Now you know. Got 2 quarterbacks. We only have 3 running backs. Yeah, let's take us some Blake Corum. He got some good usage at the end of the year until he broke his arm, which is why you saw him saying that he got onto on that little info blurb that he went onto IR, broke his arm at the end of the year, right as he was getting more usage. I think the Rams are going to be cautious with Kyren Williams. You saw him go up about 80% of snaps this past year. And the reason I think the Rams specifically are going to be careful is because they just experienced the running back age issues, which is the running backs when they running backs lose a step, it's a step too much in the NFL. Todd Gurley, arguably the best running back in the NFL at the time of his contract extension, pretty much signed it, and it just never happened. It's you always want the best for dudes in organizations when you see stuff like that, because you want that to be the pathway for the guys of the future when they show up and perform. They get their money. You don't want the the GMs and the office dudes to be like, well, you see, your birthday is this year, and now that means you're this many years, so we're only going to offer you this much money. You want to see the office bros who, some of them may or may not have never put a helmet on in the NFL, just reward talent. So it always, the Todd Gurley situation is always a bummer, but I think they're going to learn from it. I'm pretty sure it's the same system, crew, front office. That's what I'm looking for. That did that contract. So I think they want to give Kyren Williams his money, but I also think the reason that they did take Blake Corum is to kind of protect themselves. So now we still have the issue of a backup tight end. Kyle Pitts, I think, is just going to be the talent we want. After us, we have our guy. Well, I'm not even going to try it with just Jake Ferguson. Kyle Pitts is just, I don't know. But we'll take him. We'll take him here. Wow, I talked that long about Blake Corum. I really want to get to finish this point of the Titans here. So Titans have, so another one that I see as being a potential generational talent worthy of 101 would be Abdul Carter. I think anybody that has been around the game knows that a solid defensive line can just wreck game plans, and being able to wreck a game plan, putting offenses on their heels, just making them adjust live is so invaluable. You look at Aaron Donald's career and what offenses had to do in preparation for him. I just think any team can use a guy like him, period. It doesn't matter the situation, especially when you rotate guys in and out from the defensive end position, defensive tackle, defensive line in general. So that's the Titans. It all started with Shedeur, so I don't think there's an overarching point. That's just where I see the Titans going. If they're gonna go generational talent, you have Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. If you're gonna say, hey, it doesn't matter if he's not, the best prospect. I don't know if Cam Ward makes it top 5, maybe even not even top 10 in 2024's draft. But it's a quarterback league, and we need a quarterback. Will Levis is not going to cut it for us. So now it's our turn. So this is where we get into the interesting part of trying to be able to stack a Cam Ward. So if we're saying Tennessee Titans are going to take him, well, we don't really have any Titans right now. It always makes things interesting. Rachaad White, I think, can still be a valuable play. We are lacking tight ends or wide receivers coming into here. We will take a Jalen Royals. I personally don't know anything about him at this time. let's just get some guys out there. This is January. Who knows what's gonna happen? Maybe he pops off, and now we have him paired, and we're getting points from him on a bye week from Nico Collins. So Cam Ward ends up going 2 picks after us to a team with no Titans. So maybe let's just, since this is still, we're about coming at the end of round 14, we'll see how things are going. But for the purposes of, excuse me, this video, we'll talk a little about the Shedeur Travis Hunter picks here. Now, it's pretty fun to be able to pick college teammates back to back like that. I don't understand the fantasy purposes of it because, number one, I don't think either of them are going to be fantasy relevant. I don't think Shedeur has the talent to take a team, because he, at the end of the day, I don't, regardless of what I think, it seems like he's going to be a top 10, maybe even a top 5, maybe even a top 3 draft pick. And he doesn't have the ability to take a team that has nothing and turn it into something respectable. So that means the fantasy relevance for Shedeur, and I could be dead wrong there. Now, what I'm hearing about Travis Hunter and this generational talent that we all know from the Heisman winner is that he likely will be a defensive starter. Like I said, there just hasn't been, honestly, maybe since Shedeur dad played, there hasn't been a guy like Travis Hunter to play on the defensive side to have that kind of ball skills. That is just, it is generational. Now, where it gets hairy, so this is coming from GMs, where it gets hairy is if you consider it from Travis Hunter's point of view. If I'm Travis Hunter, I want to play wide receiver. I know I'm good at both sides. I know I can be a top whatever on both sides of the ball. And wide receivers make a lot more money. A lot. I want to say, I think top defensive backs get paid anywhere in the, I want to say 16, but it's somewhere in the 15 to 20 million range. And I think Justin Jefferson's, I mean, let's not use him, but top end receivers, 30 million. That's, we're on the clock here. Rachaad White made it back to us. That seems pretty safe. Thielen made it back to us. I think Alec Pierce looked great. Again, same issue with Pittman about his quarterback being able to even throw the ball. We're going to take him because of what we see of an available running backs for our 16th pick. After the 16th pick, we'll go ahead and end the video. So one of the guys I liked there was Rachaad White. Bucky Irving had a great year, and he's being drafted super early now. Second round is maybe a little crazy for a guy that's under 200 pounds and like 5'9", around there. Kareem Hunt, I doubt he's even on the Kansas. I don't know if he's even play football next year. Like I said, the GMs see that age counter tick, tick, tick. But anyways, the other guys that I'm interested in, I think Jalen Wright looked really just explosive. In a similar fashion, the Miami Dolphins are going to be wanting to protect Devon Achane. So Jalen Wright's going to be getting some, and so an explosive back with some opportunities to take away from the star running back. And Raheem Mostert looked cooked. He had that not breakout, but the comeback player, second whirlwind 2023 season, and he didn't have a step, and it's is what it is. The Now we are seeing, you're like, oh, how can you count on Jalen Wright here? He's already what, almost 20, let's call it 17, 16 picks past ADP. He's surely gonna get taken out. I'm looking at an Isaac Garendo here, or not Isaac Garendo. I just read that name. Oh, I was looking at Braylon Allen. Oh, well, there's the guy before me. So I was looking at Braylon Allen. Uninspiring rookie season. I disagree based on what I just said. So Braylon Allen, real quick before we end it out. Speaking of uninspiring, I didn't think our boy. Why am I drawing a blank? The starting running back for the Jets, just coming off of his ACL tear, it was going to be his first full season from it. He had all this hopes. We saw Breece Hall with the 2023 Jets put up RB1 point production. So we went into 2024 thinking, if he did that with the 23 Jets, look at all the improvements. His floor is so high. And he just came out and was unimpressive, which is what they said about Jalen Wright. I just think the Miami Dolphins were unimpressive as a whole. I'm not going to attribute that to Jalen Wright. A rookie always is going to have a turbulent year. So I thought that he had explosive touches. He looked fast. I mean, everybody on the Dolphins, maybe it's just their uniforms look fast. So we're going to go there. So right now we got Lamar Jackson, a naked Lamar Jackson, no other Baltimore Ravens, and CJ Stroud going up with Nico Collins alongside Christian McCaffrey, Isaiah Pacheco, Brian Robinson, Blake Corum, Jalen Wright in our running backs. Wide receiver, Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. So we'll end up getting a Derek Carr here with our next pick to stack with them. Marvin Mims, Jalen Royals, Alec Pierce for our 7 receivers currently, 2 tight ends in Sam Laporta and Kyle Pitts. And that's where we're going to end things. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you guys have a good one.